Previously on the last Pokemon Crystal SuperMON run, she will return to the gym having pocketed that secret potion as opposed to giving it to Amphi. And coming up, give me a sand please, thank you and goodbye. It's back. Did you miss it? It's time for SuperMON. This is the series where we grab a Pokemon, we give it 4 moves and 1 life, and we see just how far through Pokemon Crystal we can make it. Sometimes we get very, very far and make it all the way to the end of the challenge, and other times we come unstuck en route. Today we are going to be running NIDOKING. This is a hotly requested SuperMON challenge, and I think it's going to do very, very well for itself. Now, just a reminder of the rules of this challenge in case you haven't seen it before. We have 1 life. We cannot take any resets at all. If we take a reset, the run's over. It's done. It's finished. Finito. No more. We give our Pokemon 4 moves at the beginning of the challenge, much like our 4 moves run. However, Hidden Power and Return are not allowed in SuperMON to try and increase the difficulty a little bit more. Any other move that the Pokemon can learn via any method in Generation 2 barring events is considered a legal move for the Pokemon, and on the left hand side of the screen you can see the very, very long learn set we've got to choose from for our NIDOKING. We're not against the clock in this challenge, so we can take as much time as we need, but we do have a hard-coded level cap. That means we will not be able to exceed the highest level of our next gym leader's Pokemon, with 1 caveat. If we are able to defeat a gym leader who has higher leveled Pokemon, then the level cap that they give us comes into play. So for example, if we defeat Jasmine at level 30, then we can then take on Chuck at level 40, which is Claire's level cap. We just have to break through the barrier once. And finally, to rank our Pokemon, we can score points throughout the challenge. We get 1 point for the Slowpoke trainers, the Kimono Girls, Mahogany Rockets and Radio Tower Rockets. They are our plotline trainers. Rival battles will give 2 points. All of the Johto gyms give 3 points. All of the Kanto gyms barring Blue also give 3 points. The Elite 4 give 4 points apiece. Blue gives 5 points, Lance gives 10 points, and then Red also gives 10 points, and that makes up 100 points in total. If we get 100 points, we are classed as a SuperMON, and we have completed the challenge. Now, I appreciate that was a lot of talking and a lot of explanation, but I wanted to make sure you were all up to speed with how this challenge works. And now our next decision is to pick our moves. We've got a lot of moves to choose from in this particular challenge. Well, I think some moves are going to be obvious. For instance, we're definitely going to want Earthquake. Earthquake is going to be our main stab move. It can't hit flying types, but it is a very, very strong, powerful move overall. Just 2 base points weaker than Return, in fact. Our second move is going to be Ice Beam. With Ice and Ground as a type combination, we can hit literally every single Pokemon we'll come up against for at least neutral damage. And while it may feel like NIDOKING is a physical attacker, there's only actually 7 base points difference between physical and special attack, so Ice Beam is going to be incredibly useful. Slot number 3 belongs to Surf. Surf is a very strong all-around move. It doesn't get resisted by too many things we'll come up against in the course of this challenge, and it also provides coverage for trainers like Jasmine and her Steelix. So overall, I think it's a sensible choice. And then our final move is going to be Shadow Ball. We have a weakness to the Psychic type, so having Shadow Ball on the learn set is going to give us very strong physical damage against trainers like Red and his Espeon, Blue and his Executor. It's going to be a good all-around move. So I'm committed. These are the 4 moves I'm choosing. I'm not sure if they're the right moves. They are the moves that I think will get us the furthest in the challenge, not worrying about time. Remember, you can download the patch and do the challenge yourself. I'm sure you'll come up with far better strats than what I've got here. But this is what we're running with. Level 24 with 5 HP, holding a berry, with Earthquake, Ice Beam, Surf and Shadow Ball. 15 in attack, 14 in defense, 15 in special attack, 14 in special defense, and 15 in speed. I always like it when we have symmetrical stats, so hopefully that will be a very good omen for this challenge. I have been so excited to bring back SuperMON. I have been looking forward to it all week. I could barely sleep genuinely last night with excitement because I knew I was recording SuperMON today. And I know that NIDOKING is going to be a very, very well-received Pokemon, so I'm hoping I can do it proud. Now, NIDOKING has a lot going for it in the early game. We've got Ice Beam to get us through both Sprout Tower and Falconer's Gym, so we should be in for an easy ride there, and I don't think we'll be in for too much trouble elsewhere. Earthquake is going to be a phenomenal move, very much so early game as well, where it's going to completely demolish the opposition. Look at that Caterpie resists Earthquake and we still almost one-shot it. And I've got to remember now, I can play a little bit slower again, I can play safer. It's been the first time in about a month where I've not been against the clock here in Pokemon Crystal, so I can calm down. I don't need to worry so much about how quickly it takes me to get through the run. I just have to do it in one life, which that might be harder in some ways, you know. Now, SuperMON is going to be back hopefully every 2 weeks or so. When we did it at the end of last year, I found having to try and do so many SuperMON videos so close together, with a lot of challenges not making it very far, it just wasn't sustainable. But I think once every 2 weeks, going back to SuperMON is going to be a very, very fun idea. We do get our first 2 points on the board there, courtesy of the first rival battle. That was a very easy rival battle, and I reckon it's going to be easy all the way through. We're kind of fortunate that the rival has Totodile in this particular challenge. He is not going to be able to hit very hard with his water gun all the way up to the Pokemon League. And now, as for the Pokemon I'm targeting on SuperMON, I've decided I want to try and target those ones that can make it fairly far through the challenge. So I'm not going to be running anything like Magcargo in the near future. That's what the 4 moves series is for these days. 4 moves is taking the place of SuperMON for some of those Pokemon that aren't quite so good, to try and give them all the best possible chance to shine. But never say never, once we're through the great Pokemon, that's when I think I'll be experienced enough with SuperMON to be able to take on some of the harder Pokemon, so we can have a proper learning curve together. And now, courtesy of a Wild Bellsprout, we did already hit the level cap. That's the beauty of being a medium slow. You get very, very quick early levels. So that means we can go straight into our first gym together. This is Falconer's Flying type gym. It's going to be a breeze, I reckon. We shouldn't be in too much difficulty whatsoever. We do have to remember, though, Falconer does have Mud Slap. So it could all fall at the first hurdle, but if it falls at the first hurdle, you're not going to see this video, because I will just take it from the start. I do give myself a teeny tiny bit of grace period. I misclicked there on a Shadow Ball, it doesn't matter. We can finish it off with a Surf. I thought Surf was in slot 4 for some reason, but we do get our first badge, the Zephyr badge, and that brings us up to 5 points. Now, here in SuperMON, it is cursory to go up the Sprout Tower at some point during the challenge. Means that we can get some extra levels to get on early on in-game. It's also where we're going to get our Key Escape Rope and our Lantern. Unlike in our 4 moves challenges, where the Escape Rope can be given by Professor Elm's aid, here in SuperMON, because we're not against the clock, it is always going to be at the very top of the Sprout Tower. Do remember that the Escape Rope in SuperMON is a key item as opposed to a regular consumable disposable item, so it acts just like the Dig TM. And the reason for that is that we don't have any way to learn extra moves. We cannot teach TMs or HMs to any other Pokemon, and on top of that, we also cannot catch any other Pokemon. Breeding has been disabled, the daycare is completely shut off. The only way for us to get through to the end of this challenge is with our NIDOKING. And as I mentioned, the patch is available on the website for you to play and have fun with. I'm sure you'll all have a lot better time with NIDOKING than even I will, because I'm feeling fairly confident at the moment. I don't think we're in for too rough a ride, I've got to be honest. Maybe a few times where I take the battle slowly, but we have oodles of health, oodles of attack, oodles of special attack, and oodles of speed. so we're in for a very good time. Let's now take on Elderly at the very tippy top of the Sprout Tower. We will Earthquake his Bellsprout, of course that's going to run neutral, and then we've got an Ice Beam for the Hoot Hoot. It goes down in 1. We're already at level 14. We get ourselves the Lantern. That will mean that I don't have to worry quite so much about seeing in the dark, and we also get the Escape Rope. And now, as we are making our way through the Union Cave, I do just want to mention the Gym Leader Challenge that I mentioned a couple of videos ago. That is still part of the plan. However, I did a quick test recording of it last night, and there are some technical issues that need to be ironed out with the hack that I've done. Something has gone awry, something isn't quite working, and we're getting soft locked quite a way through the challenge, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of investigation, a little bit of research, and figure out what on earth I've done wrong, and then I will hope to bring it back to you at a later date. I'm hoping for the February slots for that video instead. Technical issues do sometimes happen. I'm sure you'll all remember how much of a jank fest the very first gift lock we did together here on the channel was. So I do just need to iron out a few bugs. So it is going to be something else in its slot. In fact, depending on when I release the videos, you might already have seen the replacement video for that slot. But at the time of recording this, because surprise, surprise, I record out of order sometimes, I don't know what it is going to be. Before I started doing the live voiceovers like I do now, a lot of the challenge runs, especially from mid to late 2023 to early 2024, were recorded out of sequence. I tried to find the most exciting order for the videos to be released in, but these days, for the challenge runs themselves, the ones against the clock, I release them in the same order that I play them so that I don't inadvertently spoil anything in the voiceover. I tend not to talk about the results of our time challenges during SuperMON, so I can get away with recording a few SuperMONs in a row and then spreading their releases out. For a little bit of context, I believe it's the 10th of January today as I'm recording this, so we're only a few days ahead of ourselves right now. And if you are a channel member, by the way, and you're new to being a HM Friend channel member here on the channel, you will very quickly come to get used to the fact that quite often there'll be a big batch of videos all at the beginning of a month normally, and then there's a little bit of a gap while I recover, do some coding, do some streams, and figure out what I want to do for the next month. Oh, that was a bit mean of that Beedrill there, doing a 5-turn Fury attack. Just trying to save a little bit of PP so that I didn't have to heal after rival number 2. Because even though we aren't against the clock, I do still quite like a smooth challenge. Now, spare a port for poor old Bugsy here. He's not going to have a good time of it whatsoever. He leads with Metapod, we get rid of it with Ice Beam. If we get rid of the Metapod, we get rid of the Kakuna. Here comes the Scyther. Fury Cutter does 1 HP, 3 HP in total on the second turn. So we lost 4 HP to Bugsy, but we did gain our next badge and we get up to 9 points in total. Don't forget we did get a couple of extra points for the Slowpoke Well, and now we can take on the second rival battle. I don't think we're going to be having any problems at all here. We can put Earthquake in to top slot now because Earthquake is going to be the most important move going forward. We're past the early game flying types for the most part. I say that as the flying type comes out, but we can get rid of the Zubat. The early part of Johto is chock full of flying types, so it's very good to have the ice type move in slot 1, especially against the clock. But then this middle portion actually has very, very few of the old flying types in general. So that's when Earthquake will get its chance to shine. We'll say hello to the Farfetch there. We'll get the side and we'll start heading further and further through to Goldenrod. Now that we're in Goldenrod, we do slightly different routing on SuperMON to our time challenges. Because we have the level cap, we still grab the bike and we go underground here. But I reckon we're going to face all 4 trainers down here, and by the time we faced all 4, we will be at the level cap. So this does take longer, however we're making the best use of our experience points here by not fighting trainers up on Route 35 when we'll already be at level 20, so they would be kind of wasted battles. Although we do still get the stat experience from battles where we are already at the level cap. So it isn't exactly an entire waste. There we go, we're at level 20 now, courtesy of the Lickitung. We'll grab the coin case while we're here, and we'll use our key escape rope to get out, because it makes sense to get the Abra while we remember, and we can also do a quick heal back in Goldenrod's Pokemon Center. So the Abra is, of course, a key item in SuperMON, much like it is in all of our Crystal challenges these days. Functions exactly the same as Abra did in the party menu. It just takes us back to our most recent Pokemon Center. And now we can make our way in to our third gym together. We're in a very good situation here for this gym because we do resist Whitney's rollout. So that means she will hopefully not go for it. So let's see how we get on. This is Whitney. She is our third gym leader together today. A normal type specialist who leads with Clefairy. We one-shot the Clefairy with Earthquake. We outspeed the Miltank. She's gone for rollout anyway. And it's looking like a 3-shot. Was that a speed tie in the end? Either way, very, very simple battle there. We obtain the plain badge and we get ourselves up to 14 points. Defeating Whitney also brings our level cap up to 25, so we can start gaining experience points again. We'll start off with the trainers here on Route 35. We've got to go up this route a grand total of twice because of how awkward Floria is, but that'll be absolutely fine. We can just take on probably 3 trainers on this route, 4 if we get Juggler Erwind, and then we can probably take on both of the trainers on the next route as well. I think both Alan and Mark there on the next route will be fairly good experience and stat experience. That Tangela in particular has a lot of physical defense stat experience locked behind it, so it definitely could be worth facing it. Now, I don't think we need the Quick Claw in this challenge. 85 speed is going to be more than fine to outspeed everybody we come up against. Maybe not some of the Pokemon at Red, but by the time we get to there, if we're relying on Quick Claw luck in SuperMON, it's going to be a toss-up regardless, so I'd rather have something like the Leftovers to preserve as much health as possible. One-shots on everything on the way up here. We can now go and grab ourselves the Squirt Bottle by going all the way back to Goldenrod City. And then for this middle part of the challenge, the routing differs quite significantly from our timed challenge runs. We don't bother with anything like quick Ecruteak here. Because we're playing with the level cap, it makes more sense to get our levels around Ecruteak City and save the other trainers and the Lighthouse to build up to Chuck's level cap instead. We've only got 2 levels to go now already, and we can get a lot of levels from the Kimono Girls. We've started doing early Kimono Girls in our time challenges, but that's not a consistent thing. Whereas here, we consistently do Kimono Girls, Rival 3 and Morty all in one block, because we are probably even going to be wasting some experience points now. We'll see exactly how far up we get towards level 25 before we complete the Kimono Girls, because we might end up saving one of them until afterwards, maybe the Jolteon until afterwards. A lot of SuperMON is about managing your experience points to try and get the most out of the battles you face, because it's great just getting stat experience, but it's even better when you can get a level out of it as well. And when we're a Pokemon with such good stats as NIDOKING, it makes sense to try and get both at once, because we can hold our own. Going in at 24 at this rival battle is not going to make any difference whatsoever. We are at virtually 0 risk of being knocked out here, so we can go in with confidence and we'll know that he leads with Haunter. He's done a withdraw again, just like in the first battle. That means that Croconaur's not even going to get a chance to hit us. We'll use Ice Beam on the Zubat, that goes down in one shot, and then we have 2 Earthquakes for the Haunter and for the Magnemite. Quite possibly, actually, I maybe should have done Rival 3 and Morty before the Kimono Girls to make the best of our experience, but it's all a bit of a muchness in Ecruteak. We're not going to be struggling too much for the old experience around here. In fact, while we're here, before I forget, we'll grab this first HP up and a Wild Rat at the same time. Why not? Hello, Rat. Nice to see you featured. There we go. Now we'll get out of here and get into Morty's. A nice side effect of having Shadow Ball is that it means we don't have to consume any Earthquake PP before we battle Morty. He is our 4th gym leader together today. He is a dual Ghost and Poison type specialist, led with Ghastly and Horns that have both gone down. We outspeed the Gengar, of course we're going to one-shot it, and we will knock out the Haunter as well. There we go, Fog Badge acquired. Very, very nice battle. We've now got 19 points acquired, and our level cap goes up to 30. With that, we will take on the final Kimono Girl. Now, I did realise that Shadow Ball as a super effective hit is probably going to be weaker against a lot of Psychic types than just straight up Earthquake. However, I still want it just for some of the Pokemon that resist ground but are weak to Ghost, because it could still be useful, and overall it's a very, very handy move to have. Now, we do have another level cap now of 30, so we are going to be grabbing some levels from some of the trainers around here. This Mr. Mime, for instance, is a delicious experience. It's fully evolved. It's an easy one-shot, and look at that, racing up to a level 26. We can also use Shadow Ball on Pokemon like Slowpoke here, just to get through fairly easily. So I am happy still with Shadow Ball, although I do think another 4th move would be just as suitable. Those first 3 are locked in. That 4th move, I think there's probably about 3 or 4 different moves we could have chosen there, and they would all have had their benefits. And now, as we're making our way through the Lighthouse, we are going to be playing the gyms slightly out of sequence in this one, just to make the gameplay a little bit more smooth. We'll go from Chuck straight to Jasmine. We'll be able to easily breeze through at level 30 against Jasmine, and that will up our level cap all the way to 40. But to be fair, even though we've got the type of disadvantage to Pryce, he's going to be harmless, so it's going to make no difference throughout the course of this challenge. Like I mentioned at the very beginning of this challenge as well, we can use the level cap to our advantage. We see it a lot when we have the type disadvantage to the fighting type. We will go and complete either Pryce or Jasmine first, so that we can have the extra levels to easily take out Chuck, because Chuck is one of the most dangerous opponents you can face in SuperMON, mostly because he has 2 different status conditions he can afflict you with. Not only can he hit you with Hypnosis to send your Pokemon to sleep, he can also land a Dynamic Punch to confuse your Pokemon, and both of those in tandem means we can't guarantee that we won't get status at Chuck, and a lot of the time that can cause a reset in our time challenges, which is why I'm so overly cautious about the Chuck battle. There was a comment on the Eradicate SuperMON video, because I was bigging up Chuck the entire time in that run, which mentioned that Jasmine is quite often the sticking point for Eradicate, and I completely agree. In a time challenge setting, Chuck is fairly harmless because you can take a reset, whereas in a setting where you have just 1 chance to get through, Chuck is doubly dangerous because of the aforementioned status conditions. Let us actually double check that we've healed up before taking on Chuck. That would be a sensible idea. We hadn't. Very glad I caught that before I'd committed to the battle. Let's take him on now. He is our 5th gym leader together today. He is a fighting type specialist that leads with Primeape. One shot on the Primeape, I'm expected to take a Surf from the Poliwrath. He's gone for Mind Reader, oh dear. We'll just have to 2-shot it. Perfect. Must have been a low roll into a very high roll there. We'll take it. That was a lot easier than it should have been. I meant to equip the berry as well, but I forgot. But we were not punished. We do now get the air balloon. I'll do a little bit of housekeeping in just a moment. But first, we've got a trip back up the lighthouse for the 2nd time. Let's get that air balloon in place and let us go to Olivine. Now, thinking of things like the air balloon, I'm actually starting to work on coding HM items for Generation 1. I've got no idea how long it's going to take me. I'm not that familiar with the internals of Generation 1, even though I've created a semi-challenge run patch for it. However, I do want to be able to have the flexibility to go into Gen 1 and do challenges like we do here in Gen 2. It's a long way off. I'm not going to promise anything. It may not even come to fruition. But part of the long-term plan is to be able to do SuperMON and other things like the gift lock in Gen 1. Because I think it'd be a lot of fun playing around the Gen 1 jank. Now, this should be a fairly trivial battle. This is Jasmine, she's not very good, she doesn't even healing loop, and we get a very clean steel type leader battle here, growing up to level 31, almost perfectly there. Mineral badge acquired, level cap jumps up to level 40, and now we can start heading over to Mahogany Town. So, like I mentioned, we are now at Clair's level cap, even though we have Pryce in between. Perfectly within the rules, all within the spirit of the challenge, and in this one it's going to make next to no difference at all to the outcome of the challenge, because Pryce is terrible. And now we are at the lake, we will take on the red Gyarados. The Gyarados line is one of few lines where I'm not 100% confident about what we'll be able to do. We're going to be running a neutral Ice Beam here. If we'd have got Dragon Rage the entire time, that could have been curtains for our NIDOKING, but fortunately for us, we don't face too many Gyarados. In fact, there are only 3 mandatory Gyarados throughout the course of this challenge. We'll have a chat with Lance. We're also going to consume a bunch of crap from the bag that we don't need anymore, and we'll go over towards the Hidden Powerhouse so that we can get our rare candy, and we can get the TMs to sell for some vitamins. Now, while we're en route here, I would like to ask some advice if any of you are technically minded. I'm currently running a temporary graphics card because my other graphics card, my older one, was a little bit dodgy. It started to malfunction ever so slightly, so I've got this temporary one, an NVIDIA 3070 Ti, and I'm noticing that my performance for things like OBS and Adobe Premiere to record and render is worse on this graphics card than it was on my 2060 Super, which is what I've been running since the channel started. And I'm wondering, is that just a thing with graphics card? Are some more catered towards high-end gaming, and others are more suited to things like video editing and the more RAM-intensive kind of things? Or have I just done something wrong with the configuration? I did update to the latest drivers, but I'm very confused, because I would have thought that I would have got increased performance out of a better graphics card, but please do let me know in the comments if you know what's going on, because I am stumped. And of course, I was never going to make you sit through any more of the Mahogany hideouts. We have got through everything here. We've got the bath plug from Lance, so we can get the heck out of here, and we don't ever have to think about this Mahogany hideout ever again. We're going to go into the Pokemon Center, we'll do a very quick PowerPoint heal, and up next is Pryce's gym. We're going to take on Roxanne here because she's got a Jinx, we'll outspeed it, and Earthquake will absolutely one-shot, and we get some much-needed special stat experience there. And we can now take on the main event himself. This is Pryce. He's an Ice-type specialist, and he leads with Seal. We're going to one-shot the Seal with an Earthquake. Here comes the Dugong. It's probably going to be a 2-shot. We'll take a little bit of damage from an Aurora Beam, and we grow up to 36 as the Piloswine comes out. It's probably a range with Surf on the Piloswine, yeah, just like that, but we don't care about healing loops in this one because we're not against the clock, so we can 2-shot, and we have a very smooth Pryce battle there. Up to 30 points on the board. Level cap does stay the same because we are already running at Clair's level cap. We've only got 4 levels to go until we've hit Clair's level cap. When you're playing with a full party in Generation 2, experience is thin on the ground. But if you're playing just with a solo Pokemon, it is very difficult without a hard-coded level cap to not over-level. Even doing minimal battles in something other than like the slow experience group, you end up with just excesses of experience points, which I suppose is because we're not playing the game how the game was intended to be played. We don't have the correct starter, we're only running one Pokemon, we don't have any HMs to worry about. So we are just playing the game wrong in Game Freak's eyes, but still, you'd think there'd be some way to get through without being quite so over-leveled. Especially in SuperMON, it always feels like a waste when I'm battling trainers and I'm already at the level cap. I've mentioned it before in this run, but even though we get the stat experience, I'd want the experience points as well, otherwise it just feels like a massive waste of everybody's time. We are nearly through the ice path now as well, by the way. We get all the items in here regardless of whether we're going to use them, because the items we don't use, we will sell for a bit of the old cash money moolah. Now, the repel steppage is tight on the way out, so I'm rewinding here so that I can make the most of the repels. I'm kind of stingy with my repels, so I like to have the best number of steps out of them. We'll get 12 max repels here. As you may have noticed there, with the amount of money we've got, I've not done a vitamin shop yet. I'm going to do one big bulk vitamin shop in just a moment. Managed to time her right today when I'm not against the clock, always the blooming way. And we can go and grab the PP up from the water. Because we're not on the clock, there is no sense in not getting this extra Pryce berry. And then I am going to take a very, very quick trip back to Mahogany Town, because there's an extra bitterberry that might come in handy for our challenge. The bitterberry lives just here. We can pick it up on the way up to the Lake of Rage, but I always forget its existence until it is far too late. So the bitterberry lives here, and with that we'll make our way into Goldenrod City. I'll do the vitamin shop off camera because there's going to be a lot of screen flashing involved, but I'll let you know what I've ended up with. In the end, we bought 6 calcium, we also bought 4 protein, and with the iron and the other protein we picked up, that ended up being 6 calcium in our NIDOKING, 6 protein in our NIDOKING, and then a single iron as well. So our special defense has been boosted quite significantly, which will be a huge boon, and now we are maxed out on both our attack and our special with vitamins at the very least. So any stat experience we gain now is an extra little bonus. And as we are climbing the radio tower, I'm going to use this as kind of an analogue for Nugget Bridge, because I don't know how far through the challenge we're going to get. That red Gyarados at the Lake of Rage has scared me a little bit into thinking we won't be able to get into Kanto. But I was rewatching one of my old videos, the latest Fire Red challenge, when I did the preparation for the new Fire Red video, and I couldn't believe how shouty I had become. And I was thinking, yeah, actually my content had changed quite significantly with how over the top and shouty I'd become to try and make up for the fact that there wasn't any filler anymore. Like those bits in between the gym battles, those places where you mentally digest what goes on, and I just talk about something that's in my brain. There wasn't any of that, it was just battle, battle, battle. And to compensate, I went really over the top, really shouty, really not who I am as a person. Because those of you who've seen me on stream know that I very rarely raise my voice at all in the challenges. It's normally at this very consistent level. So it didn't really appeal to me, so I'm thinking maybe that was part of the reason why some people weren't enjoying the content quite as much. I know that a few people liked the fact that I always have had this almost sports commentary style to my content, but I took it up a little bit too far. Maybe I took it a little bit too literally with the commentary in the end. But since switching back to the live voiceovers, I actually think we're very close to how we were at the very beginning of the channel. Maybe a little bit more confidence, maybe knowing slightly more about the challenges than I did back then. But I think we found a happy middle ground where I can see me doing this for as long as you all want me around at this point. I'm not going to lie, there have been times over the last couple of years where I've considered packing it in because my brain wouldn't let me play, because there were so many obstacles, especially with how ill I was in 2023 and into early 2024. But now, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling very, very happy with how things are going. And now we'll get back to this, but there is a pesky rival battle in the middle of what I'm talking about, so we do have to give him the courtesy to at least commentate his battle. He leads with Golbat. We've got Ice Beam. It disappears. Up next is going to be for Alligator. We will use an Earthquake. He didn't swap out this time, so for Alligator gets a chance to hit us. 2 shots and it goes down. Sneasel can get Earthquaked away as well. Here comes Magnemite. It's quad weak to ground. You know what's going to happen. And then we'll use Earthquake on the Haunter as well. Right, rival, get out of here. I'm talking. I have no time for your nonsense. So this is the 3rd time I'm trying to take this clip. I'm struggling for words today. I've got a really bad brain fog. But where were we? We were talking about things to do with the channel and really getting into the nitty-gritty and the psychology behind it in some ways, or at least that's where we're going to go. But during that period from 2023 into 2025 at the very beginning of the year, I had some of my worst health I have had in about a decade. And I just did not have the energy at all to create the long-form videos where I would talk over after doing an initial edit. So it was kind of an emergency way to keep the channel going. I didn't want to take long breaks at a time. I still ended up having to take a few breaks because I just was not able to play. I would try and I would be sort of passing out almost. By the time I got to Red, I was in a very bad state compared to what I'd let on, I've got to be honest with you all. I'm very private about things like that. I am much better now though. And because I only have to do all of the video all at once because I'm recording the voiceover as I'm talking and playing, I don't have that extra workload. And that does mean I can pace myself and pace the videos to be more like the classic style. And then thinking about some of the series that we tried and failed, I always liked the idea of starting at the end of an evolutionary line, which is how Just the Battles, which evolved into the end of the line and then eventually Unbound, came about, but I never really quite felt settled on how I wanted to frame it and how I wanted the rules to be. So I am very glad that I gave it a go, but I then realised as soon as 4 moves came into existence, I realised what it was I was looking for with that series. It was showing the Pokemon at their best possible potential, which is exactly what 4 moves does, which then allowed my brain to free up the willingness and want to start going back to the main series leaderboard again, where it's a completely different style of challenge. We're doing the same thing, we're battling the same trainers, but the framing around it is completely different. In something like 4 moves and SuperMON, we're showing the Pokemon at their best possible potential, whereas in the classic challenge, we are using the constraints that the game gives us. And I think the contrast between those two is exactly what I've been looking for well over 3 years. Now, I came onto YouTube with 0 expectations of anything happening all that time ago, and I still hold 0 expectations for growth or anything like that, but I am now holding myself to account and very much going, I want anyone who cares about this content to have a good time watching. I think that's why I've been so introspective lately. I've been wanting to try and be the best version of myself that I can be. Not just for myself, but for all of you people out there who have supported me through thick and bloody thin with things that have gone on this channel. And I really do appreciate every single one of you. I say it a lot, but I genuinely mean it. All of you have made this channel what it is. It's not me, I'm just the idiot that presses the buttons and does the talking. It's everybody as a community that has made Pokemon Crystal such a completely wide open game now, with so many different ways to play that we would never even have considered. Now, you may have noticed throughout all that talking, we didn't one-shot the level 37 Dragonair, so we're going to go and have to grab the soft sand. I don't like grabbing it in a time challenge, because this triple team of trainers is a huge time loss for just a 10% boost with the held item here in Generation 2. But I think it's going to be worth it to have a much easier Clair. I think Clair is going to be one of the first places where we have a chance of going down in quite some time, but we're just going to have to hope for the right luck. Let's get ourselves back to Blackthorn. I'm a little bit nervous about this battle, but we have Lola to get through as well, and if we can get through Lola, then we'll be in good stead to get through Clair. Now, you've noticed what I've done there, haven't you? I was too busy yapping away, did the battles, complained about the battles, get the call from the bike shop of all things. We didn't even get the bleeding soft sand, did we? Let's go back. Here we are again. Give me a sand, please. Thank you and goodbye. We're never coming back. Don't worry, you can be in secret again. Oh, goodness me. I'm so glad we're not against the clock. My brain is not firing on full cylinders yet. I am getting used to the new meds I'm on, and I think SuperMON might actually be easier to do than time challenges in this adjustment period, because I can take things a little bit slower. Let's see now, do we get through the 36 Dragonite? We do. Dragonair, rather. Let us equip this soft sand. And let's hope for the best. This is Clair. She is our final Johtonian leader, hopefully not the final leader of the challenge. Leads with Dragonair. One shot on the first Dragonair, here comes Dragonair number 2. It's another one-shot, and up next is Kingdra. We'll probably two-shot this thing. We do not get crit by Surf, but that was a lot closer for comfort than I would like. But we just about scrape through. Clair defeated. We do not have her badge yet. We do not have her points because we have our nemesis coming up after a quick heal. Because we're running SuperMON and we're not against the clock, we have a chance to fully mock this guy after we take down his Dragonair. Goodbye, Dragonair. Goodbye, Darren. We're going to do a victory lap around you, but we can't because of the scenery, so we'll just have to do a victory back and forth. We're going to pick up the calcium. I'll probably do another tiny vitamin shop before we go into the league. We do want to pick up the max elixir here, and we will finally get through this whirlpool to be able to get our next badge and our next points. Much like in the radio tower, the answer is 11212. To get ourselves the badge, we would also get an extreme speed Dratini, but I've coded that out at long last. For quite a while, that was a loophole in the SuperMON patch. You were able to get the Dratini. I'd forgotten about that gift Pokemon. But there we go, we've got the Rising Badge. A whole extra 2 on our level cap as well. Aren't we generous going into the Pokemon League? And we are now at 36 points. With that, I'm going to do a very, very quick shop in Goldenrod and probably pick up the 2 rare candies we have access to now. We'll make our way over to the league. We are now maxed out on our iron defensive stat as well, but we are very, very poor after procuring all of those vitamins. So we are going to have to take on a few extra trainers en route so that we can afford the full restores and any items that we may need for the Kanto section of this challenge. That Bulbasaur, Venusaur and Ivysaur trainer is a very good trainer to battle. She's very good experience. I like taking on this cool trainer as well, Rena. She is very, very handy because she's got a pair of Starmie and a Nido, which all go down very quickly and also give a lot of experience points. And I've started liking to battle this Psychic here. I can never remember his name yet. Psychic Richard. Now, shall we try a Shadow Ball against it? There we go. I reckon actually Shadow Ball is slightly better than Earthquake at this juncture because we don't have the badge boost for ground at the moment. So a super effective Shadow Ball will probably do more than a neutral Earthquake against Psychic type Pokemon. So I am feeling a little bit better about having it on the learn set than I was earlier. Now we get to level 42 courtesy of Beth. She is mandatory. We get our next max elixir and we'll make our way into Victory Road. Let us stick on a super repel here because we don't need all of the repel steps. And there's just one thing we're going to pick up in Victory Road today. It is this HP up right about here. And with that, we can take on the final rival battle. He is going to lead this time with Sneasel. We'll use an Earthquake against the Sneasel. We will knock it out straight away. Kadabra is second for no good reason. It comes and goes straight away. It's going to be a 2-shot on for Alligator once more. He's gone for Rage. Even a critical hit Rage didn't do that much at all. We'll Ice Beam the Golbat, and up next is Magneton. We've got the quad super effective Earthquake for the Magneton. We've got the super effective Earthquake for the Haunter as well. And that gives us a very, very nice and clean final rival battle there. We will do a very quick heal. We will get our 4 full restores. Goodness me, we don't have the money for it. What can we sell? What junk do we have? We don't need those balls anymore. Goodbye Dragon Breath, goodbye Sleep Talk. I told you we were poor. Can get another full restore. How many do we have in the bag? Hopefully we've got enough, otherwise we might be a little bit screwed. We've got 4, we're fine. Nothing to worry about. I didn't overspend. Let's take a look at our stats going into the league. We are level 42 with 144 HP, holding the Soft Sand, probably going to swap that for the Bitterberry, with Earthquake, Ice Beam, Surf and Shadow Ball. 113 in attack, 99 in defense, 107 in special attack, 99 in special defense, and 104 in speed. If you're curious about stat experience, by the way, we've got 14,000 in HP at the moment, 33,000 in attack, 29,000 in defense, 22,000 in speed, and 32,500 in special. And now, as for predictions for the league, I think it's going to be touch and go throughout, I've got to be honest with you. There's a chance we'll have a very easy league, but there's also a chance that we'll go down to somebody like Karen, maybe Will, possibly even Lance if his Gyarados crits us. This is not the safest league we have ever had here on the SuperMON Challenge, but we are going to give it a bloody good go regardless. And we're going to start off with Will, swap to the Bitterberry just for this battle. He leads with Xatu. Now hopefully we'll be able to outspeed and one-shot the Xatu, so the Bitterberry will be surplus to requirements. Crit there could mean anything. We can one-shot the Jinx. Slowbro is a little bit scary. We're going to use a Shadow Ball here. We get a Spadef drop and he swears at us. That's absolutely fine. We do low roll though. Goodness me. Who do we have next? We've got another Xatu. Shadow Ball. Please one-shot just like that. Executor is last. Ice Beam's probably better. I think it's got lower special defense. And we just about get through. That was scary, but we have a little bit of a reprieve now as we move over to Koga. Koga is our second league member today. He is a poison type specialist. We've got the poison type on our team, and he leads with Ariados. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is probably not going to be a clean battle, but we don't care about a clean battle. We just care about a winning battle. We could get confused here, which we had the Bitterberry to ensure that we didn't do too much damage or any damage at all to ourselves. This fortress can become a bomb. That's what I'm worried about, so we'll crit it away. Perfect. I like that we're in sync with our NIDOKING here. We don't outspeed the Crobat, but there's not really much it can do. It can't Toxic Stall us, and it's frozen. He uses a full heal, we get rid of it. We grow up to 43, and that just leaves poor old Muck. Muck is weak to ground, so we have a very, very easy end to the battle there, up to 46 points. We don't need to full restore, however, I will use an Elixir at this moment in time. Going to save onto the rare candies for just before Karen, as opposed to using them before Bruno. We are going to resist, of course, the fighting type, so we shouldn't have too much of an issue. Two-shot there to get us started. Hitmonchan comes out to play. He's going to hit us with an Ice Punch. We do not get frozen. That's the worst that could have happened there. We'll finish it off with a Surf. Hitmonlee next. I was predicting the Onyx, which is why I swapped to Surf. But no, there was a Hitmonlee in the middle of it. There's the Onyx. We'll grow up to 44 as it goes away. Probably double Earthquake on this Machamp and hope we don't get crit. Even if we got crit, we'd be fine, actually. Look at that. Perfect Bruno. And we can move ourselves on to Karen. Full restore time. Hold on to the next Bitterberry. And we will use the rare candies first. We can only use 3 of them at this point, but 3 is better than none. We'll use a HP up, and we will hope for the best, really. So this is Karen. She is our final league member. She's a Dark-type specialist, leads with Umbreon. Are we going to two-shot this Umbreon? That's the first question. It's looking like we are, and the HP up strat has worked. That is huge. We have a chance of being paralysed by the Vileplume, but we get the Gen 2 miss. Jeez, what is going on? We can get rid of Murkrow. That's easy. That one's fine. We've got Gengar next. We aren't at lowered accuracy. We don't need to worry about Destiny Bond. We outspeed the Houndoom, and we get rid of it. Karen, thank you. Thank you, Karen, so much. You played ball. I really do appreciate that, because you could have been nasty, but instead, you gave us the perfect battle. Now, we're doing our prep work for Lance at this moment in time. I don't quite know how we're going to get through the Gyarados. That is my main worry. Trying to think, do we have any items at all that would help us? Maybe the Nevermelt Ice, actually. Get that little 10% boost, because Ice Beam will run neutral. Let's take him on now. We'll see how we get on. This is the only obstacle between us and the Hall of Fame. It's Lance the Liar, and he leads with Gyarados. It's looking like we're going to take a strong Surf to the face, but thank goodness Gyarados doesn't have much in the way of special attack. We can get rid of the Dragonite. We have Ice Beam, it's quad super effective. It would probably even one-shot without the Nevermelt Ice. We'll use another Ice Beam rather on the Aerodactyl there. Now, I don't think we're going to one-shot this Zard. Hopefully he doesn't crit. He's gone for Flamethrower. I think we are through. If Ice Beam connects on this Dragonite, it's all over for Lance. We are now halfway through this challenge. 64 points on the board. I can relax. I was very nervous throughout that Pokemon League, but we have reached the halfway point. I reckon a lot of you would have expected us to get this far already with NIDOKING. It's not a great surprise, but you've got to remember we've not got over 100 in any stats, which is kind of the benchmark for SuperMON. If we have over 100 in one stat, we can do fairly well. This is, by the way, only up to half of the story. There may be another 8 gym badges plus the red fight left to come, we don't know. So I tell you what, you better not go anywhere, because Kanto is next. And now we are rejoining the action as we always do here in Vermilion City, where the first thing we're going to do in Kanto is get another rare candy, this time for the chairman of the Pokémon fan club. Now in SuperMON we generally get all of the storyline out of the way first and pick and choose our gym leaders. However, Lieutenant Surge is right here, and we are immune to the electric type. We also have a speed of 139, which is well above the speed we need to outspeed all of Surge's Pokemon. So we're going to take him on now so we don't forget about him later and we don't end up making a fool of ourselves by the time we get to Blue. That's probably the only damage we're going to take this entire battle. He is an electric type specialist. Oh, his Electabuzz has quick attack as well. I never knew that. Shows how much attention or respect I give to Surge, doesn't it? Goodness me. We'll get through all the rest of his Pokemon growing up to level 51 en route. That gives us our first Kantonian points on the board, getting up to 67. And now we can continue progressing, or at least starting with the Kantonian storyline here in SuperMON, because we're not worried about the timer at all. We don't have to fret about any kind of gym leader order for efficiency. We can pick and choose the gym leaders who we think are going to be easiest, so that way there is much less pressure on this run. As soon as we get enough rare candies, we will get up to Blue's level cap, so we'll naturally grow all the way up to where we need to, and then we'll candy the last little bit. And then in case you've not seen SuperMON before, we do then have a candy jar in place to get us from Blue's level to Red's level, because I don't have all month to sit here grinding through the league to get ourselves up to a Red's level cap. That does also have the little inadvertent consequence of making the Red battle slightly harder, because it means we're not going to be gaining stat experience. That's just one of the compromises we have to make, because this is for content and not for just playing around at our own pace. But it seems to work very well. I really enjoy doing that last bit with the candy jar, because it does increase the challenge. I'm always looking for ways to make Pokemon Crystal a harder game. Let's be honest, it's not the hardest Pokemon game in the world. Not by a long shot. It's not X and Y levels of easy, but it's definitely not up there with things like Black and White 2, and even Diamond and Pearl were fairly tricky Pokemon games. And that's got me thinking, actually, what do you think is the hardest Pokemon game out there in the main series? There are a lot to choose from, and maybe we'll have a definitive answer as to which one is hardest. I think some of them have very, very tough individual battles, but overall are fairly easy, and others crank up the difficulty all of the way through. One battle I've never struggled with, and I don't know if it's just because of how I build my teams, is the Cynthia battle in Sinnoh. Never had a problem with her. Even in BDSP, when people were saying she's the hardest battle on the Switch, I just got a bug and quiver danced and took advantage of her AI. It was a fairly simple affair for me, but maybe I'm in the minority by underrating Cynthia. Maybe it's just I'm lucky with her, and then I find another trainer like Steven, for instance, a blummin' nightmare. If we were to ever do SuperMON in Generation 3, which will be a very, very, very long time off if we do, I doubt many Pokemon will get through and get full points by defeating Steven. He really is my Achilles heel. I know that the Steel type is a very strong type pre-Generation 6, and even after Gen 6 it's not terrible. So he does have a bit of a leg up, but there's just something about that battle. I can't wrap my head around the best way to get through it yet. I do need to play a bit more Pokemon Emerald, though, to learn the game. We did a stream in the fairly recent past in Emerald, and it was an absolute hot mess. I loved it for streaming purposes, but I would have been cursing myself out if that's how it was in a video. Now, I'm trying to see how much we do against the Snorlax, but Earthquake crit there. It still didn't do as much as I had hoped, mind. There comes our slightly under 100 attack coming into play. And because we're doing SuperMON, we will say hello to 3 Drill. We can't face him very often on the time challenges anymore, so we always make an effort to at least say hello to him here in SuperMON. He's doing very well, he's wishing you all a happy new year, he knows he's fashionably late, but then when isn't he fashionably late for anything in our challenges? And while we're in the neighbourhood, we'll have a very simple Brock battle on our hands. Brock is one of those gym leaders who's a little bit of a joke here in Generation 2. We've got something super effective for all of his Pokemon just by virtue of having Earthquake. But he's even worse than that because all of his Pokemon are quad weak to Grass. If you have a Grass type move, then Brock is free. It's one of those things I'm keeping in mind for if we run Grass type Pokemon through the SuperMON challenge. I think it's going to be one of the first gyms we take on, him and Misty, to get some very easy early points on the board. Because we know what the Grass type's like. It will go down at some point in Kanto, most likely. And now as we are making our way towards Blaine, we'll pick up the second Kantonian Rare Candy. We already had one left over because we picked some extras up in Johto. So that means once we get our next level up, we will be able to get all the way to the level cap. And then the order in which we face the gym leaders will become mostly irrelevant. Blaine is very out of the way here on Cinnabar Island. Well, I suppose in the Seafoam Islands part of the sea here. But it'll be a very, very easy battle. 3 Earthquakes will dispose of him once and for all. And with that, we can move on with 73 points to our name. And our next gym leader is just going to be around this corner. We're going to go into Fuchsia. We're going to take on Janine. She's the easiest of all the Kantonian gym leaders, especially because we are the poison type and the ground type ourselves. So she's really got nothing at all to hit us with. We take her on now because she's in the neighbourhood at this point. And we don't really do Cycling Road on SuperMON because we do the storyline first. Cycling Road is very much there as an efficiency for the timed challenges, as opposed to being any kind of I like going down Cycling Road routing. This will be a very easy battle here. Bunch of one-shots will get rid of Janine once and for all. We get the Soul Badge and we get ourselves up to 76 points. So that gives us our 4th Kantonian badge, and our 5th one is going to be here in Celadon City. It is the furthest out of the way of the remaining gym leaders, so I thought we'll take her on first, get all of the hassle out of the way in the beginning. We are, of course, part Poison type, so that negates our weakness to the Grass type here, so we should be in for a fairly easy time. We're not going to be gaining any more experience now through battling for the rest of the SuperMON challenge, regardless of how much further we make it, because we are at Blue's level cap, and we will be candy jarring for the red fight. So let us now take on Erica. She is our 5th Kantonian leader. She is a Grass type specialist who's going to lead with Tangela. We'll use an Ice Beam on the Tangela, we'll knock it out in 1. Up next is Victory Bell. We can use a neutral Earthquake and knock it out in 1 as well. And then we have 2 further Ice Beams, 1 for the Blossom, and then spare a thought for this poor Jumpluff. It's 4 times weak to Ice. It goes down and we obtain the Rainbow Badge. 79 points have been acquired, and now we can go over to probably... Who do we think is going to be easier? Probably Sabrina, you know, in Saffron, over Misty in Cerulean. Even though we can't gain any more levels, we do kind of have to predict who will be the easier of all the battles. So I think for this we are going to swap our held item out as well. We picked up the leftovers just while we were in Celadon City, and I spotted a PP up that I've not used. So we'll plonk that in Ice Beam, just in case we have to do any kind of freeze hacks at the Snorlax. This is Sabrina. She is our next gym leader. A Psychic type specialist, so we do have the type weakness, but we outspeed, and it should be fine. 3 one-shots gets us our next badge, getting us into the 80s with our points. 82 points on the board. We have just 2 gym leaders left to go. We'll take the scenic route, actually. We won't bother flying to Cerulean. Instead, we'll just take a quick cycle. We'll park ourselves next to Misty, and we will hope for the best. This is probably going to be the hardest of the standard Kantonian leaders. We have a very, very slight chance of going down here, but I'm hoping we will be strong enough. We're not going to be able to one-shot this Lapras. It's gone for Blizzard, but it hasn't frozen. That was the only worry in this battle. We get through Starmie, so we are at least going to be seeing the blue fight. 85 points acquired. Let's get ourselves back to Viridian City now, where we will do our last Poké Center heal in Kanto, and we will make our way in to our final gym together. And that final gym is Blue. He is the mixed type specialist of Viridian Gym, and he's going to lead with Pidgeot. Are we going to one-shot with Ice Beam? That is the question. And the answer is no, but we've frozen. He's withdrawn. We use another Ice Beam. We take the Alakazam down to half. That's one of the big threats gone. Here comes the Gyarados. He is another big threat. We are going to have to hope that Hydro Pump misses here, really. Which it does do. And look at how much Shadow Ball is doing. That has dropped his special defense. Not enough to be meaningful yet, but enough for him to go for Rain Dance of all things, and we can get the KO with Ice Beam. Pidgeot is next. We can use another Ice Beam. We'll get rid of it straight away. We have Surf with the Rain Dance just to be even meaner to the Rhydon, and I think we should have it in the bag now. We will Shadow Ball this Executor. Leech Seed means absolutely nothing because he's only got Arcanine left to go. We will recover to almost full health by the end of the battle, and we say goodbye to Blue. 90 points on the board. Our level cap gets up to level 81. Whatever happens now, we are going into our final battle of the challenge. We have had some really good luck in places here to get us through. There were some times where it was a little bit touch and thingy bob, but NIDOKING has pulled through. So I think no matter what happens at the red fight, we can be very, very proud of this NIDOKING. It has shown what a good Pokemon it is, even through 9 generations of different Pokemon. Now, we don't need to get that last rare candy, because we do have the candy jar, so we'll go straight into the Pokemon Center. We have the lantern, so I don't need to do Flashless Silver Cave on this particular occasion. We'll get ourselves in front of red, then I will use the candies off screen so we don't have any of that horrible flashing, and then we will prepare ourselves for battle. I've got a good feeling about this. If we can get through the Blastoise, I think the Blastoise is going to be the major issue here. So I will now candy, and I'll meet you on the other side. There we go, up to 80 when we go. We will take on red. He's the final trainer of the challenge. He leads with Pikachu. Earthquake was always going to one-shot the Pikachu. We're going to outspeed the Espeon. We'll use an Earthquake and hope for the best. And it goes down. Snorlax is next. Interesting. If we get paralyzed by Body Slam here, that would be a little bit of a dangerous thing. But he goes for Amnesia. Can we two-shot this Blastoise? We can two-shot this Blastoise. We've got the win. It is as simple as that. We'll use Ice Beam against the Venusaur. He uses Sunny Day. That's meaningless. We only have the Charizard left to go. We are going to probably use Shadow Ball because the sun is up. We critical hit. Flamethrower does not burn. It's all over for red. And we have a SuperMON on our hands. Congratulations, NIDOKING. You had a very, very smooth ride through the challenge. Let's get it on the leaderboard. And we have redemption for our NIDOKING. It is our 7th SuperMON overall. We ran it on stream right at the beginning of SuperMON challenges here on the channel, and we only got 33 points that time, so we only got as far as the 4th rival battle. We lost to Clair that time, but this time we made it through. I am very, very happy to now declare NIDOKING a SuperMON. It's what it deserved this entire time. So I really hope you've had fun back here in SuperMON. I definitely have. I'm feeling very, very positive about the SuperMON runs to come. If you've liked this video, please do press the like button. It's in the name, I suppose. If you want to see more challenges just like this, then click the subscribe button. If you've got any feedback, leave it in the comments down below. And I will now say thank you all so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I will catch you all very, very soon.